Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's interview. Geeky Nigeria is a renowned media organization that gives quality content on technology, lifestyle, and education. You can always visit our website, which is geeky.com.ng, to find out more about our articles and read more on our publications. So for today, we're interviewing someone, Mr. Olayinka Shado, who is a first class graduate of law from Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU. In OAU distance learning, he graduated as the top student. He was part of the top 10 students out of 500 students, and he had a performance average of 84.3%. He also graduated at the top of his class from College while studying literature in English and Christian religious studies.
Good afternoon, Mr. Olayinka. Welcome. First of all, I would like to welcome you to Geeky Nigeria. Thank you for your time. So please, can you introduce yourself to our audience and reader?
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm grateful for having me on this interview. By way of introduction, I am Olayinka Shado, and just as Catherine has said, I'm a recent graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, a law graduate to be specific, and I completed my undergraduate degree with a first class. I think that's just a one-line summary or one-sentence summary of who I am.
Okay, thank you for that one-liner. Can you please, give us your educational background?
My educational background. So do we go from like the roots, or where do I pick it
Yeah,
up
we would
from?
like to start from the roots.
Okay. I believe it's going to be ridiculous to start from like my nursery school, KG and all that. So I think I'm just going to pick it up from my secondary education. My GS1 to 3 was done in a school different from my SS 1 to 3. So I started off in Ojodu Junior Grammar School. It's a state-owned public school. And I went on to King's College, Lagos in 2013. I was there from 2013 to 2016. At King's College, I finished as the best graduating student in literature and English and Christian religious studies. And from there, I went on to the OAU Center for Distance Learning Program. It's a pre-degree program. For about 1 year, between 9 months to 1 year, and I was able to finish among the top 1% of the class with a percentage of 84.3. That's granted me an admission to study law at Obafemi Awolowo University, where I was for 6 years plus. Ordinarily, it should be 5 years or less, but you understand the peculiarities of schooling in a federal university here in Nigeria. There was the ASU strike in 2022, and then there was the COVID-19 lockdown challenge that we had in 2020. So that kind of like extended my undergraduate studies in school. But recently, to God be the glory, I am out finally, and I was able to finish well by the special grace of God. So right now, I'm in the period of waiting for law school, which would hold on next year for another period of say 9 months to 1 year before I, get qualified to practice as a lawyer in Nigeria. So I think that's pretty much of a background. Just to have some context to my undergraduate degree, I believe I'm one of the top 5 students from my class. Just about 5 persons that graduated with the first class degree of over about 400 students. Yeah, so That's just a bit of context to the degree, and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that rundown.
Okay.
So can you please describe your experience when you were doing your distant learning pre-degree in OAU? What was it like? What was the experience like?
Oh, I would say it was like an advanced secondary school, right? Because it's a pre-degree. The point was just to kind of test your knowledge of secondary education, but at the same time, kind of introduce you to what undergraduate studies would be like. So, in the program, I was taking 4 courses. That was because of the choice of study, choice of field that I wanted to study in, which is law. So I was taking English, compulsorily English, I think government literature, and I cannot remember the last one right now because that was like in 2016. But yeah, uh, we're just having classes occasionally every day. It wasn't too serious, I would say, compared to what the undergraduate studies is like. So it wasn't too serious, it was a bit relaxed. But at the same time, I think it was a wonderful experience. It was my first exposure to like a proper university environment, right? And I think I was able um, to build up on some of the skills that I had developed as a secondary school student in terms of academics, like discipline, putting in the hard work to get good grades, making sacrifices, priorities, setting priorities right for school and all that, and of course interpersonal relationship skills as well, because I was coming from King's College, which is a boys only school, to the undergraduate and the OA degree program where you have like both genders and all of that stuff. So it means that like there are newer distractions, and I had to adjust to that particular setting. So I would say it was a good experience, it was a fair one, decent experience.
Was your first class university, your first hand university experience?
You said?
It was your first hand university experience.
Yeah, semi university. I wouldn't say university, right?
Yeah.
But of course, it was supposed to be like a simulation of an actual university environment.
Okay, that's good. So, seeing that you said you graduated as a top student from your degree program, and you also graduated as a top student from your major, that's your law that you studied. So, would you tell us what your secret was to attain success in both programs? Seeing that I'm very sure it was very demanding. So, would you tell us your secret to success? How did you attain to be successful in both pre-degree and also in your major as a law student?
Okay, thank you. To start with, I won't say it's a secret because I'm not the only one to do it, right? A lot of people had done it before me, and a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people will do it after me, right? But I would say my own personal disposition towards what I wanted, my personal disposition towards excellence, right? So right from my King's College experience, secondary school experience, I'd always wanted to be the best, right, in my class. It was just a disposition. I wouldn't say there's a particular thing that really made me have that mentality, right? I just grew up that way, right? So that attitude was what I took from secondary school to the pre-degree program, from pre-degree program to my undergraduate studies, right? But if I'm to speak in terms of specific qualities, I would say just first of all, a mindset for excellence, a mentality of excellence, because if you do not want to reach for the stars in quotes, you will not put the effort that is required for you to, attain very, very good grades, and to just, attain like a lot of good things for yourself. So I think I would say that my own mindset of excellence was one of the things that drove me to put in the much needed sacrifice, the much needed work for my goals. And I think the next thing would be discipline, right? Because we are in an age and time where a lot of people just want to do the things that they feel like doing, right? Not things that have to be done at certain time and at certain periods. So I think the discipline to understand times and seasons, to understand the importance of doing things at the right time and putting in the much needed effort for a particular goal. A lot of people want to get to a particular destination, but they've not taken out time to actually think of the steps that needs to be taken to get them to where they are. And one of the most important recipe for success, like anybody would tell you, which is why I started with it's not a secret, right? Would be discipline. So discipline in terms of what you spend your time on, right? How much you spend doing extracurriculars, how much you spend, studying for your exams and tests and whatnot, right? And I think another thing would be environment influence, right? So I've always found myself, I'm not sure if this is a conscious effort or it just happens, but I always find myself among people that do really good things, right? So in secondary school, my seatmate was always the first or the second. So I joined them in SS1. They had been in like just 1, 2, 3. So I joined them in SS1, right? But I was lucky to have him as a seatmate. And I think that had an influence on how I was, how I kind of like sojourned throughout my secondary school education. So he was always the first, second, and I wanted to also be in a contender. Also, I wanted to also be like that, right? So I had that influence around me, and it motivated me to put in the right work, right? And going into undergraduate studies, I think at the onset, I didn't really have so much of that positive company in terms of academics around, but like at the concluding part of my undergraduate studies, I took a conscious effort to actually relate more with more of the first class students or the people that were on the path to also finish the first class. And I think that really helped me because in my last session, I had straight A's, all A's in all of my courses. And I would attribute my relationship with some of these people, to helping me gain that success. So I've mentioned mindset, that's the mindset for excellence. I've mentioned the discipline. And I think influence and environment, your company also played a huge role for me. I think I will leave it at that.
Okay. It's very good that you had that company that motivated you to success. I think everybody needs that. So would you tell us that's also the same thing that motivated you into picking law as your major, and how exactly did these things you stated motivate you into picking law as your major, and how did your academics also motivate you into going into law?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question perfectly. Well, are you asking for my motivation for studying law? I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
Ah, uh, it's a very common question, but usually there's no special answer for it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I did not sleep and then wake up one day, or maybe I saw in my dream that law is really what I wanted to do, right? I think for me, it was just, I would say, back to the mindset of excellence. So when I was in secondary school, I was in the humanities department, right? And I was just thinking, okay, what exactly do I want to study at the university? At that point in time, law was one of the things that was one of the, really, really reputable professional course that you could study in the humanities department. So I think I was just like, I want to be the best at what I do. And law is like one of the best of the courses that you can study in university. That's from the humanities pipeline. I'm like, okay, let me just do law, right? So there was no special motivation at the onset, right? At the onset, there was no special motivation. But I would say maybe partially because my dad is a lawyer as well. So my dad is a lawyer as well, but I didn't want to start with that. I didn't want to start with that
Mm,
because I wouldn't say that was like the major factor, right? I
mm.
think it was just like an underlying factor. Okay, my dad is a lawyer, and maybe it's cool to also be a lawyer as well. So nothing special. Really, just I wanted to do the course that was like the most professional for somebody in the humanities department in the secondary school.
And you came up on top.
I
Okay,
mean,
so so like how did your performance in literature in English and Christian religious studies at King's College influence your approach to legal studies?
uh, not so much, really. Not so much because like literature in English is not really, it's not a law course, right? I did literature in English in my first year in university. Now, don't get me wrong. And I think um, my success as the best graduate student in secondary school really actually helped me to do well in
Mm.
my undergraduate course, like while I was taking literature in English. Because I remember that time, a lot of people were not getting A's because literature in English then was not those courses. Like it was one of those courses that people really found it hard to get an A in. That's my school, shower. I don't know how it works in other school, but like there are peculiarities to these things, right? The
Yeah.
department was really stingy with their A's. So you find very, very few people having an A, but like I was one of the people that had an E in my class in literature in English at the time. So I wouldn't say it had a big influence, but I think the fact that I was good in literature and English in secondary school helped me to really do well in literature and English when I took it as a course as a broad course in my first year in university. For CRS, no influence, if I'm being frank. No
I
influence.
like, but okay, so there's no influence at all that the Christian, really.
No, I think it's more personal than
Studying.
having an influence on my course of study, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
so
so.
would you like to share with us what those personal influences this Christian studies did to you? Like, is it like it made you not totally not believe in God or something like that?
No. I mean, like I grew up in a relatively Christian home, right? I had like a good upbringing, and
Mhm.
I would say I was a very good child growing up. I wasn't into all those things that like teenagers did, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I would attribute that to like my upbringing, right? And Christian really studying, I mean, like coming as a graduate student in CRS at the time, really did not have like so much
Mm.
role in determining my character in university, right?
Ah,
So
okay.
like I would just say very little to zero influence really. It was just because that I happened to like read really well and become on top. So nothing too serious about being frank.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so can you like discuss a particular project or research paper from your law degree that you are very proud of?
There are a number of them, right? Because um I I wasn't just book alone. When I got into university, I did a lot of stuff. I was doing extracurricular activities. I was participating in competitions, national competitions, international competitions. But the one that I'm most proud of, which is like the most recent, was a competition that I represented my school in Abuja. That was like in July, right? It was based on one of the courses that I was taking in my year five. So I happened to be like the best in that course, right? So the lecturer just told me and some others that were going to represent the school in this competition. It was a national competition, right? So there were other schools. There was an essay stage. We wrote the essay. We qualified to do the oral presentation, which was to take place in Abuja, and then we traveled to Abuja, and it was a really nice experience because we eventually came out on top, and that qualifies us to represent Nigeria at the African rounds in Kenya this coming November. So I think that's like one that I'm most proud of. Right.
I'm sure we Nigerians are proud of you and we wish you the best of luck. Okay, so how would you say your academic achievements is preparing you for your legal career ahead?
I think it's doing a lot of I think it's doing a lot of work in terms because not many people make first class, right?
Mm.
And when you make a first class in university, there's a lot of expectations from you. In fact, from my parents, my dad was talking to me like 2 days ago, telling me about scholarships and how like a first class can take you to the UK, to the US. I have that in mind. Like that's one of like my personal goals. I'm working towards that, but like there's that pressure from your parents, from like your friends, everybody's looking up to you and saying, "Oh, you're going to do really great things" and all that. So I think that pressure is helping me not to relax, right? And as much as I've achieved this particular milestone as an undergraduate, I'm looking forward to achieving more. To
Great.
start with, law school is next year, right? So people that are finished with first class in university, people with like there's usually this expectation that you finish the first class of law school as well, because people do it, right? But law school is an entirely different ball game because it's much tougher than undergraduate school. It's an entirely different ball game, right? But the point is, there's that pressure, and that pressure kind of like translates into motivation for me. Now, this is not to say that I don't have my own personal motivation independent of that pressure, right? I have my personal motivation, which is what has been keeping me for like my from my early days, even up until now. All right, that happened. That is one. And number two, I think achieving a first class degree is also like an evidence. Is an evidence of um, unique qualities that I have been able to build, which I believe, which employers would see as valuable in the workplace. So, from an employer perspective, I don't think it's about the first class. I think it's about the effort that went into achieving that, right? So anybody can, I won't say anybody can get a first class, right? But like anybody can get a first class. Let me just put it that way, right?
No.
No,
No.
potential, potential. Now I'm speaking based on potential, right? I'm
Okay.
speaking based on
Okay.
potential. It's a matter of choice, really. It's a matter of choice. If you had that mindset from like the first year and say, okay, this is what I wanted to achieve, and then you work towards it, I think it's not insurmountable. It's not an insurmountable challenge that that one cannot go through, right? But the point I was trying to make really is that I've been able to develop some skills, technical and soft skills, which would help me in the legal practice. First of all, is being able to retain information, being able to analyze and interpret information. Because when you're studying law, you're dealing with a lot of information. You read a lot of books, a lot of materials, laws, cases, and all that. And when you're preparing for an exam, you have to see through, you have to like control all of this on majority of them and know what is relevant, know how to summarize and all that stuff. So I think that's a really good important skill that would help me as a lawyer, right? That aside, hard work, diligence. You cannot get a first class without being diligent in your studies. And employers are looking for people who take their work very seriously. So, and I'm speaking from an employer's perspective, right? So it has to have like practicality to it. So I think the diligence, the hard work, the discipline, of course, the discipline. And for my now, this is away from my book because while in school, like I mentioned, I did a lot of competitions and I did a lot of stuff, right? So I believe there are some skills that I also was able to build for my extracurriculars, like being able to work within a team, right? Interpersonal skills and all that stuff that would definitely be of use in a workplace because when you're working in an environment, you're working with people. You need to learn how to relate to people, emotional intelligence, and all that stuff, knowing what to say at the right time and what not to say, nuances like that. So I think those are a few of the qualities that I believe I have been able to build and own as an undergraduate university that would help me in my career trajectory as a lawyer.
Those are very good qualities to have. And they said heavy head that wears the crown. I mean, you graduated a top student, so I'm very sure the pressure is too much, and you can take it one step at a time. You,
Yeah.
you achieve what most people has not didn't. So be proud of yourself. So I
Yeah.
just want to ask you, what strategies did you use to stay focused while you were in school? I helped you perform well a very rigorous academic environment.
Sorry, come again.
What strategies did you
Okay,
yeah,
strategy.
yeah.
Ah, so like I said earlier, I've always had just had this disposition towards wanting to like be really good at what I'm doing and like to be among the best. Maybe it's like an ego thing, right? I'm not sure, but like I always want to be on top wherever I am. So I think that that mindset that I had in university really helped me to stay focused. Now, just a bit of context to my undergraduate studies, right? Because it's relevant to this question. When I started in university, I started with a really high GPA at the end of my first year, and I was on the first class. But like from second year, I started to diversify. I started to do a lot of things. I contested for a political position in my faculty and I lost, right? But that was just like the beginning of a number of things that I started to do. I worked as an event host. I was doing MC, hosting events in my faculty. I did freelance writing. I did competitions and all that stuff, right? So that kind of like distracted me from my goal of finishing with the first class to the point that I kind of like dropped from the first class. I started with the first class in my first year, but like I dropped in the middle because of like the number of things that I was doing, right? But I came to the realization in my fourth year that I really want this thing, and that mindset of of excellence. I wanted to finish strong because a lot of people still thought I was in the first class for the longest of time. But known to me, I knew that I was just like trying to get back. I was close, right? Because I started with the first class, right? But I was trying to get back, and it was the mindset of okay, I really want this thing, and I want to be among the few that would finish the first class in my class. And I think that was one major strategy that helped me. And priorities would also be a really good strategy that I worked in, because like I said, I was venturing into a number of things, but in my fourth year I realized that I needed to cut down on the number of extracurriculars if I was to like really bump back into a first class. So I set my priorities right, and I was saying no to a number of opportunities, invitations to come do this, to do that. I was saying no to a lot of that. So that helped me really. So that was a really good strategy. And another thing was having seeking guidance, because like I said at the start of this call, I'm not the first person to make a first class. There are people that have done it before me, right, that I was looking up to. So it was easy for me to reach out to them for ideas, for guidance. I did this very well in my fifth year. I was reaching out to a lot of people. When it was close to exams, I would ask them questions about this. How do you prepare for this? How do I answer this question and all that stuff? So I think guidance is really important, and it was like one of the major strategies that really helped me. So just to reiterate, I said guidance, I said the mindset for excellence, and I said priorities.
Okay. So hearing you talk about starting with the first class and slacking behind, would you say that was a challenge that you encountered in school? And would you say these strategies you mentioned were ways you overcame that challenge?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a serious challenge for me. It was. It was because um, it's really difficult to navigate the lecturers in my faculty. Like federal universities, you know how lecturers can be.
Yeah.
So at the point, I was really scared that I wasn't going to make a first class, because when I was in my fourth year, I realized that I needed to have all A's in my final year, right? I needed to have all A's if I was to like really finish with a good first class. And at that point, I was the pressure was like a notch higher. Like the pressure had gone a notch higher for me,
Mm.
and it was a big challenge for me because I had to manage doing work to to cater for myself in terms of finances, right? And attending classes and all that stuff. So the skills that I mentioned, or the attributes, the strategies that I mentioned, played a huge role, because at that point I realized I needed to cut down on a number of stuff, and I set priorities. My book became my number one priority, rather than like just okay number two or number three, because I was in a lot of stuff, right? Really, just a number of stuff. So I brought my books back to number one,
Mm.
and the mindset of excellence was what was driving me, even though like I had it at the back of my mind that there was a risk that if you're not really serious, the slightest mistake or the slightest loophole can cause you to lose guard and then to miss the mark, right? So that mindset really helped me to continue to work towards the first class, and then of course the guidance was instrumental as well. They were helping me to stay motivated, doing the right things that I needed to do to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Okay. So, how do you plan to leverage on your academical excellence for your future career?
I plan to use it really well, like drain it. I plan to drain it, right? Because I worked hard for it, and
Yes, you
when
did.
I was working for it, I had in mind all of the amazing things that I could do with a first class degree, and I'm working towards them, right?
Mm.
So to be specific, I'm looking to like penetrate into the global space. So like I want to be like an international lawyer, right? I'm hoping to work in a law firm in the UK or the US by God's grace, right? Like that's one of like my major career goals. And having a first class degree is a good start because these people in the US, they want the best of the best. If they're going to recruit somebody from Nigeria or Africa, they want the best of the best. So I think having a first class degree and like coupled with number of other achievements that I've been able to gather for myself, I think it gives me like a promising start. It gives me a good prospect, right? And that aside, that I probably would start as a lawyer here in Nigeria, right? So that would also my first class degree would also help me to get into like a really good law firm because the competition is fierce. There are like just a few, good law firms. I mean, in terms of pay and work culture and all that stuff. So, but being a first class student, and if by God's grace I finish the first class in law school as well, I believe that like I'm in a very good position to secure a slot in a law firm like that. So, securing a slot in law firm like that is really just a good start for my legal career because I can go on to do amazing things and all that stuff. I'm also looking at the prospect of scholarships as well, like for masters. So, like there are a number of things that I have in mind that I know that it's just me. Like I have in mind, and I know that I'm really going to get my hands into a number of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they will happen. I'm sure
Yeah.
they would. Okay, so you were saying you had a lot of extracurricular activities you did in school. So I was wondering if you can just like discuss or tell us about your experience with these activities and how they helped in your development.
Oh, beautiful. Um, so in my year 3, right, I started hosting events. I wanted
Mm.
good in public speaking, right? So I just thought it's a good way to make small money for yourself, right? Why not graduate? So I started hosting events in my year 3, and that helped me to develop my public speaking skill like even better, right? And my communication skill, my ability to interact with people, and also most importantly the confidence, because it takes a lot of confidence to stand in front of hundreds of people and speak to them, right? But I did that, and I can do that right now because of the experience that I had hosting events in my school. Recently, the last corporate event that I hosted was this year, and it had like about 1,000 attendees, right?
Wow.
So that's something I'm very proud of. I think that's a it's a really amazing experience. Something that I always like to speak about. Last like when I'm talking to people and all that stuff. Um, Other than hosting events, I was also involved in a number of extracurriculars. I was participating in competitions, representing my school in competitions. I already mentioned the one that happened in Abuja, where which qualifies myself alongside my teammates to represent Nigeria in Kenya. Last year, I was in Ghana as well, representing my school in a competition as well. I've done a number of national debates, research, essay competitions. I won essay competitions too, and that particular one helped me to like improve my writing skill, writing and research, and These are really two important skills for every lawyer. If you're going to work in a law firm, you need to know how to write and you need to know how to research, because that's like the foundation of what you'll be doing. What else? I was also writing for money. I was doing freelance writing too at the same time. So I was just a number of stuff that I was just trying to throw in. And I believe like these experiences have really shaped me because I consider myself a very versatile person. If you're talking about speaking, I can do it. If you're talking about writing well, I can do it. If you want someone to host your events, I can do it. Like I'm talking about even in a law firm now. Let's imagine that they want to host an event in a law firm and they're looking for somebody amongst the team. I can easily volunteer to do that because like I have that experience before. And has helped me to like develop a number of skills. Also, my network, it helped me to build my network also, which is very, very important. I told you like last year I was in Ghana and it was a competition that involved over 16 universities in Africa, right? Or 16 countries in Africa, rather, 16 countries in Africa, like over 60 universities. So I network with a lot of people. So right now I have like a good network of friends across the African continent. I have people I know in Ghana, in Burkina Faso, in Cote d'Ivoire, and all that stuff. So like all this stuff helped me to build that network of people. The internships that I did here in Nigeria to help me to like meet people in Nigeria, help me to find mentors that are lawyers that would help, really help me in my career journey. So I think the blend of all of the things that I did is a very, very unique and nourishing experience for myself.
Talk
And,
about a top lawyer with a personality. That's great.
all
That's
right.
a nation. So how did you handle the high pressure in high pressure situations? Can you give us an example of that from your academic or personal life? Like, when have you ever been in such a tight, high pressure situation, whether it's in your academic life or your personal life? Can you tell us how you handled it?
This would fall back to my discussion of trying to get back to first class because this is like the most recent and it was really high pressure. Like I said, in my fourth year, I realized I needed all A's to get back to first class and then graduate first class. That meant that I needed to do well in every test, in every assignment, in every presentations, across 4 courses, right? 4 courses, and then my project as well. So like it felt daunting, and I was considering the possibility of failing, of slacking, and then not making it. But at the same time, I did not want to, and I did not allow that fear to actually dissuade me from doing things that I wanted to do. So I think some of the practical steps that I make were to just focus on each step at a time, right? So instead of worrying about the results for a particular course, I was more focused on, okay, how do I do well in these assignments? Because assignments like usually the first thing. How do I do well in this test? How do I do well in the exam? How do I do well in this particular question, in this lecturer's part? So I think I was able to like really break it down and not allow the fear of the broader picture to discourage me and to like really dampen my motivation. And like I was just able to focus on each milestone at a time. And that helped me to like really it helped me to stay focused, it helped me to stay motivated, it helped me to not waver because of fear. So I think that was like one major high pressure situation that I had to deal with. If I'm to mention another one, it should be maybe the competition in Ghana last year. So I wasn't like I wasn't the original representative for my school, right? The persons that were supposed to like represent the school for that particular competition could not make it. So I was like one of the substitutes, which meant that I had just very little time to prepare for an international competition that I was going to represent my school in a different country. So it was daunting. So there was the fear of, oh, I don't want to slack and I don't want to fail. I don't want to do bad, right? But I think once again, just focusing on the now rather than like the broader fear of slacking and the broader fear of not getting it done. And of course, getting guidance and support from my coach, from people around me, were one of the things that really helped me to overcome that particular situation.
Wow, that's good to hear. So, can you tell us when a particular time your analytical skills as a lawyer was tested? How did you approach it?
My analytical skills. Analytical skills. Okay, I think I will go back to one of the competitions that I did. This was in 2022. It was like a finance slash law competition, right? So it was organized by CFA Institute, Chartered Financial Analyst, and First Bank in collaboration with First Bank Nigeria. So we had like a case study, and we were to analyze that particular case study and identify areas of violations of a particular code, CFA codes. So I think at that point I needed to utilize my ability to understand information, understand the context, interpret it, and then identify those violations of what I was being asked to look for, right? So I think that's a solution. It worked out well because we eventually came out as the first runner up of that particular competition. It was a national competition involving universities in Nigeria as well. So we came out first runner up, and which means that we're second, right? So like a positive result. So I think that's one occasion where I had to analyze a lot of stuff.
Okay. So
Mm.
what are you most passionate about, and why?
What?
What areas of law are you most passionate about, and why?
Okay. I think I'm tilting towards the finance part of law, like the nexus of finance and law, right? Like I just mentioned that I was in a competition in 2022 and I had to work within that terrain. So, but I think I really like corporate finance, right? Which falls under the broader purview of corporate commercial law. But corporate finance, basically how companies raise money for their businesses. We're talking capital market, we're talking stock market, and all of that stuff. So I see myself working in that line or specializing in that line in the broader, in the nearer future, right? And it was during the lockdown in 2020 that I got exposure to this area because I was taking a lot of courses then and I was just trying to get busy. And I took a course on corporate finance and I really just loved what it was about. And I was just thinking about the roles that lawyers would play in the corporate finance, transaction and all that stuff. So I think corporate finance it's an area of law that I see myself. And then tax as well. Tax. I was actively involved in tax club in my school. I was the public relations officer, and then I became the director of research. So I was exposed to tax from 2019 up until this moment. So it's an area that I find interesting, and I think I would also like to get my hands into when I become a lawyer.
Okay. So how do you keep up with the latest trends and legal trends, developments of recent times? How do you keep up with the current trends and developments?
Oh, okay. Wonderful. So I must confess, I've really not been good at that before, but now, I think I've gotten the hang of it, right? Oh, I wasn't good with it partially because I was still focused on school and all that stuff then. But now since I graduated in July and I've had spare time, so I've been doing a lot of stuff. But to answer your question specifically, I use Google Alerts. Basically, Google Alerts is you're smiling. You know what I'm talking about. Right? Do I need to explain what Google Alerts is?
Yeah, explain. I'm sure our audience would like to hear that.
Okay. So essentially, you go to Google and then you create a customized news outlet for yourself, right? You input areas, specific keywords, which can kind of signal areas that you're interested in the input box, right? And then what happens is that Google collates a number of news sources from different news sources and then sends it directly to your inbox every day, or depending on how you set it to be. It could be weekly, it could be monthly. But mine is set for every day. So every day I get news for stuff relating to tax, to energy, because I'm also interested in energy law, to finance as well, finance in the UK because I'm looking to practice in the UK in the next future. So like I'm just trying to keep myself, in abreast with all the news and happenings in the UK. Now, besides Google Alerts, I also listen to Financial Times podcast on Spotify every day. It's like my morning routine. So I wake up in the morning after devotion and all that stuff. When I'm like washing my mouth, I have my ears plugged with, and I'm listening to like Financial Times, the podcast talking about news, bringing news from like different areas of the world. That aside, I'm also subscribed to Reuters, so I receive emails from Reuters every day. Just a number of news outlets that I just consume on a daily.
It's good to hear you're keeping up. Okay, so
I'm trying. I'm trying.
okay, so can you tell us of a time you collaborated on a project or a research paperwork where you brought success, like included a team of people where you brought success to that particular project? Like I'm not just talking about the competitions, probably something like a mute court or something like that.
Something like what?
Like a moot court or something like that.
If we're talking moot court, then we're still talking competitions
Oh
because
my God.
because moot court competitions, right? But, but it seems like you don't want me to mention an experience of my competitions. So I'm just
Yeah,
like
I want to know when you like did something that is outside of competition, that probably when you spent a day in court or you helped out, to help a problem in your presentation in school, like a team presentation or something like that.
okay. If we're talking that, then a situation easily comes to mind. In my final year, I the particular course that I was taking, international and Nigerian law, we had to make a presentation, right? I remember I mentioned international and Nigerian law was like the course that made me to be on the team that represented my school in Abuja. So like I was really good in the course, and I happened to like be the team lead by default setting. Yeah, kind of thing. When people know that okay, you're really good, and also they just allow you to do your thing, right? So I was able to walk the team through, watching the movies because we had to watch movies, two movies, and yeah, it's not as interesting as you think it is.
Doesn't sound interesting.
The movie is about war, about the Rwanda genocide and like one other war like that happened in this thing. Because, like I said, the law of war, because of the law of war in international space, right? So we had to watch those movies and specifically identify violations of those laws, like the laws that we have, laws of war. We had to like identify violations of those laws in that particular movie. So that was the task. So like I said, I was a team lead, and I put together like a strategy. I asked everyone to watch the movie, and I called for meetings, trying to encourage people. We spoke about some of the violations together, and then I went forward to putting it in writing because we had to also submit a written presentation as well as like an oral presentation. So I didn't want everybody to be involved in the writing, so it won't take too much time, right? So like I just asked people to help to identify and to send to me like to the group chat. So myself and another colleague did the writing, since like we're the ones that are really good with the writing. So we did the writing and then we submitted that. And then the day of the presentation, myself and that same colleague also were chosen to represent the team and then make that presentation. It was really good. It went really well. I think we had one of the highest scores across board, and a good number of like my teammates eventually had an A in the course because they already had like a good score in
Yeah.
the CA. So I think that's like a really good situation.
That's a good situation. So would you can you tell me what you believe? Um, okay, let me ask you this thing. What role do you believe ethics play in the practice of law? And how has it affected or influenced your own views on law? Okay, because a lot of people like to say law, though law is ethical. right? But people like to say lawyers are, not so ethical because you guys will go beyond than any means to win a case. So I'm wondering, what do you believe, and how do you believe ethics play an influential role in law, and how has it like influenced you personally?
Hmm. That's a really good question. So I would say, based off of the illustration, the example that you gave in respect of how lawyers seem to like go all the way to get something right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that usually happens like in the litigation part of law, right? It's more prevalent in the litigation part of law where you're going to court and all that stuff. But it's, if I'm to comment on it, I would say it's more of like a firm culture kind of thing. If you're working within a particular firm and they have a culture, um, they have a culture of integrity, right? They have a culture of integrity. Then I believe you would not have to be put in situations where your ethical standards will be compromised. Now I'm talking some of the top law firms in Nigeria, top corporate commercial law firms in Nigeria. They are really big on integrity and all that stuff. So you will not really see them doing a lot of unethical stuff because they are concerned about their reputation, right? And bad reputation we know is not good for business. So if you find yourself like in a firm like that, I don't think you would really struggle with unethical practices. Whereas if you don't find yourself in such like an environment, let's say maybe you're working like with a mid-tier or small-tier law firm, I think it will be more personal, right? More of like what your standards are, maybe what your religious, disposition is towards certain things. But generally, I think it's really important that law firms and lawyers have integrity. If I just say, just I must speak generally, I think it's really important that they have integrity because it just engenders trust in the work that you do, that is from clients and from like the government, the regulators as well. So I believe that um, law firms and lawyers should, as much as possible, try to limit their involvement in unethical practices for the sake of justice, right? Although if we're talking justice, justice is relative, right? Let's not go into like the law. Let's
So
not go
you're
into the
trying to say justice is subjective. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. That's what I mean. Actually, that's what I mean. Thank you. That's the more suitable word for it. Thank you.
No,
What?
it's not subjective. Justice is justice.
Yeah. Do we need to go? Do we need to go into
We
like the
don't need to. We don't need
yeah?
to.
So
Thank you.
let's
Okay.
because this is not a law class, right? So
Yes, it's not. But it was nice, hearing you. I do agree with you that lawyers should be, should work with integrity. Like that,
yeah.
that works. Okay, so now I have two questions for you now. So I want you to, tell us your long time and short time goals and how you plan to achieve them, and then what and how you balance your professional and personal life. What are the strategies you use in balancing your professional and personal life?
Okay. To start with the first question, my short-term goal right now is to finish the first class on law school because like that's what is closest to me. I'm going to law school next year, maybe February, March. So I want to finish the first class on law school, right? So that I'm giving myself a better opportunity to apply for international scholarships and roles, and at the same time, to start in a really good law firm here in Nigeria. So that's short term. If I'm talking long term, I see myself working in a top law firm in the UK because that's one of the things that I really want to do. Right. I want to leave this country. This is between me and you. But yeah, that aside, I have colleagues, senior colleagues, like let's say role models or mentors that are actually like in the UK working as lawyers. So it's a motivation for me and it's something that I see myself, doing in the long term. Right. If we are to talk about the second question is on how I balance professional and personal life. I mean, like, I think as you can infer or deduce from like our conversation, you know that like, I'm a very playful kind of person, right? Like, I get serious and I also know how to like play. So I think I'm versatile. I don't find it difficult to really switch between professional and personal because it's just like a personality thing for me. I like to work hard and I like to play hard. Well, in school, like I said, I was hosting events. I wasn't just hosting corporate events. I was also hosting parties, right? So I was the life of the party, and you'd also see me like at the corporate events doing formal things, wearing suits and all that, and you also see me like wearing jewelry in a non-formal event. So I think it's personally it's just like personality thing for me. Like I just know how to like switch between between professional and then personal. But of course, there are moments where there's conflict, right? Because you have to, devote. There are times where you have to devote like a good number of your time towards something. Let's say I'm in school now, I have to like prepare for an exam, but then like maybe there are other personal things that I need to attend to. That's where priorities come in. Like I've said a number of times in this call, being able to set good priorities and having people around you that understand those priorities that you set for yourself will do a lot of good, right? So if you surround yourself with friends or people that are like-minded, I don't think you'll have much of an issue with it because if I tell you that I'm preparing for an exam and I cannot come for so and so, and you are a person who is also serious, taking your life seriously, you will understand that, okay, of course, there are times where I need to, just lock in and like, cut off distractions and all that. So I think having a set of friends that are like-minded really helped me to be able to balance personal and professional, school work, and then and play because we play together, we work hard together, so right, it was just easier for me to balance it. So I think it boils down to like a personality thing. Not many people might be able to navigate that switch. I don't know if there are tips and tricks to be honest, but it's just me.
That's why I say you're a lawyer with a personality. Okay, so I would like you, for your final words, what would you advise our readers and our audience that also want to go into law? What would be your advice to them?
Okay, my advice would be a sponge, soak in as much information as you can, try to do as much things as you can. Now, I'm speaking based off of my own experience now, right? Because I was like one of those people that work hard, play hard, like I've said a number of times. So I'm glad that I had um, a very balanced experience in school. I wasn't too serious with both. I was serious, right? But like I was also playful. I did a lot of playful stuff and very lot of non semi-formal stuff and non-formal stuff. So my advice would be to try and as much things as possible. Do not limit yourself because you do not know the extent of your abilities, right? If I had not tried out event hosting, I would not know that I would be good at it, right? If I had not tried out writing, I wouldn't know that like I would be good at it, right? So be a sponge, try as much as possible to take in as much information as you can and do as much as you can because it gives you a well-balanced experience. You can see things from different perspectives, right? And that's a very unique quality that employers would be looking for by the time you get into the labor market. And of course, stay motivated, really have like a mindset of excellence. It could be an ego thing for you, but know how to manage your ego at some point in time, right? But like just have like a mindset of okay, I really want to I don't want I want to be in the discussion, right? Like I want my name to be mentioned when they're talking about like people that did really great things and all that stuff. So that would just be my own final advice.
Thank you so much for coming on Geeky Nigeria. Thank you for your time and thank you for being a delightful guest.
You're welcome. I had a nice time speaking with you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Olayinka, for honoring this invite. Can you hear
You,
me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear
Yeah,
you.
for honoring the invite, yes. I'd also like to thank our viewers for watching. You can also follow us in Nigeria. You can subscribe to YouTube channel also Nigeria. And you can also visit our website too, which is the. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Hold on, Mr. Olayinka. Hold on.